They say reaching the top is the dream, the place every athlete imagines as a kid standing on a worn-out public court hitting balls that barely make it over the net from a distance. The top seems glamorous, bright lights, trophies, headlines, and applause that lingers long after the final point. Yet what they rarely explain is that the top is not an arrival, it is a duty, it is an endless examination, it is a space where comfort turns into your biggest opponent. When you are climbing, everything feels clear. You pursue growth, you pursue recognition, you pursue validation. Defeats become lessons, victories become signs that you are moving closer. There is freedom in the ascent, because expectations are small. You can develop, you can stumble, you can surprise, but once you step onto the summit, everything shifts. Now you are the reference point, you are the measure. Others compare themselves to you. Every rival walks onto the court believing that defeating you could redefine their journey. Each match becomes someone else's opening, and every morning you rise knowing that remaining at the top demands more than getting there ever required. I shaped my game around power, around intensity, around making my presence known before the first strike. My serve has been a weapon I trust when pressure builds. My ground strokes, especially my forehand, have carried me through battles where hesitation would have meant losing control. I understood early that if I set the rhythm, I command the contest. If I control the tempo, I control the result. That identity formed me, it gave me belief, it guided me through tournaments where pressure might have broken someone less assured. I accepted that disciplined power can rule, and for a long period that equation delivered results. But tennis never stands still. The sport changes every season. Styles evolve, strategies adjust, young competitors arrive with new viewpoints, new training structures, new mental approaches. They examine champions not to admire them, but to break them down. They do not fear reputation, they study it, and lately one name keeps surfacing in conversations about what lies ahead: Alex Eala. At first, she was simply another gifted prospect. Tennis history has many of them junior champions with strong resumes, young players who glow in development circuits. The move to the professional stage is where many falter. The physical intensity increases, the mental pressure deepens, the margins narrow, consistency becomes essential. But what drew my attention was not publicity, it was development. She did not stay the same, she did not depend only on early achievements. She advanced tournament after tournament, match after match. Her movement grew sharper, her decisions became more precise, her composure steadier under strain. That steady growth carries more weight than sudden breakout wins. When I watch her compete, I notice purpose. I see an athlete who understands that building points matters as much as ending them. She does not hurry without reason. She shifts tempo, she recognizes patterns, she absorbs speed and redirects it with intelligence. She is patient when patience is needed, and decisive when opportunity appears. That balance is uncommon at a young stage. Power is obvious, it is dramatic, it captures attention instantly, but discipline, clarity, and tactical sense are quieter strengths. They may not dominate highlight reels, yet they build longevity. As someone who constructed her style on intensity, one recognized the benefit of applying force, but I also know the boundary of relying on a single dimension. If an opponent refuses to be overpowered, if she stretches, rallies, and pushes you to strike one more ball than expected, the match changes. It becomes less about control and more about adjustment. Adaptability separates champions from contenders. Many misunderstand what it means to feel tested by a rising player. It is not insecurity, it is not dramatic fear, it is awareness that the game never stops, awareness that progress elsewhere demands progress within. When I was climbing rankings, I studied those ahead of me. I did not view them as unreachable, I viewed them as targets. I searched for patterns in their matches, I examined how they managed pressure, I asked what I would change. That mindset fueled my rise. Now I imagine someone doing the same, watching my matches, analyzing my habits, preparing answers to my strengths. That is the natural rhythm of elite sport. Today's challenger becomes tomorrow's example, and then someone new begins the ascent again. Alex represents that ascent, the momentum of development, the hunger of potential. She competes with freedom because she is constructing. There is lighter pressure when you are rising. Every victory feels like advancement. Every narrow defeat still feels like proof you belong. At the summit, the burden shifts. You carry expectations from supporters, media, and yourself. You protect points, you protect titles, you protect reputation. That responsibility demands mental strength that cannot be formed instantly, yet resilience is built through challenge. If I observe a player progressing quickly, it does not diminish me, it sharpens me, it pushes me to confront key questions. Is my movement strong enough for long exchanges? Is my shot variety broad enough to avoid predictability? Can I Adapt when my main weapons are contained. Am I evolving as fast as the sport requires? Those reflections are not weakness, they are professionalism. Complacency is the true danger at the top. Believing that past triumphs secure future ones is a risk. Tennis does not reward reputation, it rewards what you deliver right now in the present. If she elevates her defense, I sharpen my accuracy. If she expands her rally capacity, I build greater stamina. If she enhances her tactical vision, I advance mine as well, because development is not optional, it is essential. The toughest contests in tennis are often not physical, they are mental. They unfold in silent moments. Before competition begins, they surface when you evaluate areas that require progress. Despite winning, they appear when you decide to confront flaws instead of overlooking them. Alex's ascent is proof that no ranking is permanent. Position shift, momentum turns, confidence transfers from one competitor to another. The only steady element is change. One day we could stand on opposite sides of the net. In that instant, there will be no storylines, no forecasts about promise, no focus on age or background. There will only be execution choices, calmness under pressure, the skill to adjust within seconds, and that is where champions reveal themselves. Experience offers tools, it brings memories of past struggles, it gives insight into handling nerves when the score becomes tight. But experience by itself does not secure victories. Preparation does, constant refinement does. I respect any athlete dedicated to continuous progress. I respect discipline. I respect ambition guided by structure. Those traits create lasting success. But respect never equals hesitation. If the new generation climbs, then I must climb higher. If the sport grows more intricate, I must grow more complete. If exchanges become longer, I must stay patient without sacrificing aggression. If rivals analyze me, I must examine myself with even greater honesty. The summit may look stable, yet it demands study. Reinforcement each season introduces fresh challengers. Every tournament presents new variables. The difference between triumph and defeat can be one decision made in a split second. I have competed in matches where a single point carried the weight of an entire year. I have felt the silence before a serve that could determine everything. Those experiences shape you. They test more than technique, they test identity, and identity must develop. If I depended only on the version of myself that first emerged, I would already be behind. The competitor I was 2 years ago is not the one I am now. Progress requires uncomfortable change. It requires studying wins as closely as losses. It requires humility even at the height of success. Alex's path reflects the promise of the future, but promise alone is not fate. It must be supported by consistency, by resilience through setbacks, by adjustment when opponents neutralize strengths. The top is not shaken by talent alone, it is pressured by persistence, by intelligence, by athletes who keep advancing long after the spotlight arrives. That is why awareness is vital, not fear, not insecurity. Awareness fuels preparation. Preparation builds belief. Belief sustains results. If we compete, it will not revolve around predictions of success. It will depend on who prepared deeper, who adapted faster, who remained steady. When momentum shifted, sport often highlights generational transitions, suggesting each era must step aside for the next. Yet eras are not replaced quietly, they are challenged, they are defended, they evolve before they close. I am not remaining still awaiting substitution. I am training, refining, broadening my abilities, strengthening the discipline and mental base that brought me here. The summit may be delicate, but it is not given up without resistance. Let her continue advancing, let her grow in confidence, let her embrace the freedom of climbing. That process is meaningful, it molds character, it exposes resilience, and when we meet in competition, the result will not be shaped by headlines about youth or experience. It will be determined by clarity in decisive moments, by adjustment under pressure, by execution. When exhaustion appears, the top requires evolution, and I accept that responsibility. I welcome stronger competition because it pushes me to improve beyond yesterday. It blocks complacency, it reinforces structure, it renews ambition. True greatness is not measured by avoiding challengers, it is measured by facing them at full strength. So if the sport transforms, I transform with it. If the next generation improves, I improve further. If ambition rises behind me, I move faster ahead. The summit is not merely a place to stand, it is a place to continue developing, and I am still developing.